they'll drive through a cornfield and then stop and shut the car off just to torment me.
This is Champagne is Also a Band podcast. One songwriter, one song. I'm Sven, your host for a journey into the music of Champaign Urbana. Recorded in the Blue Box studio with a songwriter from the Champaign Urbana music scene, past or present. Champagne is Also a Band podcast is proud to be a part of the Champagne Showers Podcast Network. Welcome to Champagne is Also a Band podcast. Today I've got Taran from the group Clinically Ill. Taran, welcome to the show.
Hello, how you doing?
Thanks for being on the show. Today we're going to be listening to your song Attention, which is on YouTube as a single. Without further ado, let's listen to the song.
I just want attention, but it's easy on this way is to be a serial killer. But I can't just go and hide this murder material. I promise I can make sure your death is ethereal. Killing you just gives me such a venereal. I'll take this genre, turn it in religion, make me the ministerial. Try to talk to God, but he won't speak to me. It's like I'm casted to hell where I'm not supposed to be. But I got all this crazy stuff running through my head. Some days I think it would be better if I was just dead. Stop to think it's crazy what's just up ahead. It's a tough battle in the rap game, start the bloodshed. Not saying I kill you, but I got a bucket of acid waiting. It's time to go to war, let's stop the meditating. Surrounded by nightmares, I feel like I am suffocating. I feel these lyrics that I am decapitating. Excuse me, can I have your attention? When you shit talk murder, I feel like I love the torture. We're gonna keep progressing to kill him slower. Cut the beat. Ha! I have great pleasure in introducing the newest link of the murder scheme. Ha! You should just stay back. Don't come at me because I'm slacking. I will take anything you say and then attack. Nothing's fair in love and war. What you trying to hate me for? Yell at me, I'm at your door because I don't get any more. Attention is what I need. Don't give it to me, I'll make you bleed. You should just stay back. You should just stay back.
Up to sleep, these demons taking over me. I'm losing the fight I pick because I am no longer silent. Bob, someone help me, I'm scared of that to release the breath out of you. They'll hear me in attack because wait, out to murder and nobody too, because my verses on those songs hit harder than you. But get you all to sit and speak, keep talking shit, you'll never win. When I pull up, you back away. You're just afraid of what I'll say, and what I'll say is back away before I pull out the chainsaw blade. Yin, so that that's why clear and hassle. Step right up, be put up, blast your fucking whack, that's all I hear. But when I'm here, you struck a fist, I'll try to run. It's no more fun to talk. All the shit you used to say about me before I became this way. And now your days are numbered and the countdown starts now.
Welcome back. So, Taran, my first and favorite question to always ask, and maybe you've heard this, is did the words come first or did the music come first?
I'd say, honestly, the music came first. me and Austin are influenced by a lot of different groups that do pretty much the same thing that we do. So the music definitely came first.
Let's talk a little bit about how the music got constructed. I don't want to call it like a sound effect, but it is kind of a sound effect, the kind of the siren thing going up and down. Like, what was the inspiration? What started that music?
The whole idea behind the siren was, I like what's that movie called? The Purge.
Oh, okay.
That is where the siren came from. So, like, the beat was first, and then I was like, I want that siren in there.
You've started to put that together. Now, do you do like a drum program, or do you do this in a DAW, or how do you come up with the beats?
We go on YouTube and we find beats. If we like the beat, we go ahead, pay for it, and then we do our own thing with the beat. Like, we change it, flip it a little bit. Whatever beat that we first got, we add things to it other than just the lyrics.
So kind of walk me through how you start verses and work on that.
I look at what the beat name was on the YouTube, and then I'm like, okay, well, that sounds really cool. So we're going to try to swing off of that. And then basically, play the beat for a minute, just sit there and listen to it. And actually, before we even buy the beat, we're already writing to it so that we know that, everything's going to go good. Typically, I'm the first one to start writing, to just get the ball rolling, and then everyone else, follows along with it. So then they know what to talk about. Sometimes it is Austin too. Austin gives a really good idea and we're like, yeah, we're going to do that. It's mainly just a topic that we figure out first and then go from there.
And for those that don't know, like, Austin is Austin from episode 30. Let's talk a little bit about that. Like, how did that collaboration start? Did you just decide that, or were you, anyway, how did that start?
So originally I was doing my solo project. I was putting out a couple tracks and stuff, and then, just to mess around, I'd be like, yo, Austin, hit a little bit of it, and he'd feature on it. Or sometimes he would do like a little skit in the song, That's how it started out. Me and Austin had an idea to collaborate with Not for the Faint of Heart. So The Contract is another song that we have on YouTube, right. The TJP featuring Not for the Faint of Heart. So we did that collaboration, and then unfortunately, sadly, around that same time, our band decided to go their separate ways, and Austin was in a real big funk for a long time. So we were just still sitting there messing around, and one day I was like, yo, let's make this an actual like group thing. Let's combine our brains and let's go at it, because originally, and he's probably going to hate me for saying this, but originally, Austin was not a metalhead at all. Originally, Austin was like listening to hard rap, and I was the opposite. I was listening to heavy metal, and I've always wanted to be in a band. And then somehow, some way, we just flip-flopped, and I became the rapper, he became the metalhead. I don't know, I just asked him, I was like, you want to bring this stuff together, bring your metal, bring my rap together, and let's combine it and see what we can do.
The beats that you picked up from YouTube, was it named Attention, or is that where the idea came from?
Yeah, the beat was actually called Attention, and then like in the process of writing it, there was certain people that were putting on Facebook and stuff really bad things about our group just because they don't like Austin, giving our group name a bad rep, like, oh, how could they call themselves clinically ill? That's bad, da 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 da. And then obviously hating on murder because, well, it's murder. But so right. In the midst of Attention, that's Attention sparked, is basically, can I have your attention? Like, let me explain myself.
So in a way, this is your group kind of claiming back the sense of, empowerment in terms of what you want to talk about, and what the things that we say are not all cut and dried, perhaps, and maybe, it has different meaning to me than it does to you. And how did those lines start coming when these things happened and you had to respond to them?
A lot of people would be like, you're talking about murder, you're not killing anybody and all that. And I was like, obviously we're not going out and murdering people, because our genre is horror rap, so we talk about horrifying things, you know, because what's more horrifying than murder? That's the kind of things that we just talk about. And then, you know, even in the first bar, I just want your attention, but it seems the only way is to be a serial killer. The fastest way to be known, you know, is to be a serial killer. You know, that's just basically what that means. And like, people took that really differently than how I portrayed it, because I wasn't, you know, obviously saying I'm going to come out here and be a serial killer for you to know who I am, you know, obviously. And mainly most of the time when we talk about murder, like, yeah, there's some points in there where we're talking about bodies, but the deeper meaning to it is like murdering the beat, murdering the genre, you know. We're attacking, basically trying to take over the genre. We're trying to make it our own and basically murder everything. That's like the deeper meaning of it. Obviously, we're not talking about going out and killing a human being.
I think about so many bands and like the idea of like Satanic Panic, and it's like that's the genre. That's the way that it gets, like, lyrics are formulated, and that's the way that they are told. It's not like nobody would be like, oh yeah, Wes Craven, he's such a murderer. But no, he's just you know, that's the genre in which he writes in, right? So I hear what you're saying, like that makes so much sense. Is there like a favorite line that you have in this song?
The part where I say killing you gives me such a venereal, because when I looked it up, okay, it said sexual drive. So every single time that part plays, my parents or Austin is like, killing you just gives me such a, and then they yell boner. It's just so funny, because I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, I should not have put that in there. But yeah, that's actually one of my favorite lines. It's just so funny.
That's one of the things too, is like, you're also kind of trapped by your rhyme, but you have to, something that rhymes with ethereal, right? So
yeah.
I'm surprised they're not like, you know, venereal disease or something like that as well.
That's also what my mom said too, was it gives you a disease, and I'm like, oh, dang it. I should have read into that more.
Well, I mean, the roots are from Venus, the goddess of love. So venereal meaning from Venus, whatever. Why is this your favorite song?
When we first put out Murder, Murder, it got like maybe 300 views, like just the audio alone. And then months and months and months later, I was like, let's drop the music video. Well, the music video comes out and it's skyrocketing for no reason. You know, it's doing fantastic. And I'm like, okay, wow, like, we have this energy. Let's get this song out. No sooner did we put out the Attention music video, less than 24 hours, we hit 1,000 views. To me, that's like the first song that's like actually hit when it first came out. Because Murder, Murder, the video came out months after the actual song came out. Attention just came out and it's skyrocketing. I think the only thing is like it opened up a doorway for our new song coming out. It's called Nightmare. I can't give details exactly of what the video is going to be, but it's going to be the first video that we've actually spent money on. It's going to be one of our biggest videos, and I guess Attention, you know, broke that barrier to be able to do this. Because, like, if Attention didn't do as well, we wouldn't have been as motivated. Like, all right, let's make this one even better.
COVID-19 got you down? You looking for some music? Some video games? Well, Exile Main Street still has all the things you need. New and used LPs, CDs, and video games. Exile Main Street still has something for any music enthusiast and old-school gaming devotee. Exile Main Street is taking orders, making deliveries, and pickups by appointment. They can find just about any music or video game you need. Check out their website, exilemainstreet.com, for links to their Discogs page for new additions. You can also contact them via Facebook Messenger to see what they can find for you. They can also be reached on Instagram, Twitter, email, or phone at 217-398-MAIN. That's 217-398-6246. Welcome back. So, Taran, what is your favorite Champaign-Urbana venue?
So far, I absolutely love the IMC. I take that as home to me because Karen treated us so good with Not for the Faint of Heart, with TJP. She treated us great. And that was the one show that, you know, my neighbor, her daughter had a trach. She just recently got it out. And one of the IMC shows, Karen allowed us to pay a little bit less for the venue so we could raise money to give to my neighbor.
Awesome. The IMC has become this, maybe it's always been this way, but it's such an inclusive scene. This is a question I've been asking because, of course, we can't go out as much or we can't be out. The thing that I've been thinking a lot about is like, what makes a good scene? Good things, bad things about Champaign-Urbana, things that can be improved. That's a huge loaded question, but approach it however you want to do it, and we can parse it out if you'd like to.
The rap scene is so much different than the metal scene because you see a lot of love and support for different bands for each other. In the rap scene, everybody's trying to one-up each other, defeat each other. When I first started out, I got into a big battle with two other artists that were here. Why are we arguing with each other and putting diss tracks out? What I'd love to improve is people helping other people. Like, we're all artists here. We're all trying to make a name for ourselves, and we all just want that attention. So yeah, that's basically what I want, is just everybody to support each other, you know, because the rap scene's really hard to support. I mean, I support everyone that I see.
What does the Champaign-Urbana music scene do well then?
Have places that, like your podcast, the radio show that me and Austin were on, just having places that you guys, you know, help so much to try to be out there more and get a name. So like your podcast, that radio, IMC, BJ Clark, he does a radio station downstairs. He's awesome too. You know, just having people like you guys that will do this kind of stuff for up and coming independent people is awesome.
Is there anybody that you're looking to or looking up to in the Champaign-Urbana music scene that are kind of inspiring you? I don't know. Feel free to, you know, drop some names if you'd like or whatever.
Honestly, the first person would honestly have to be my stepdad. He's a DJ. He used to be a DJ at Bradley's, DJ Mr. Mix. He inspired me from day one to make music. And then I guess to keep moving forward and actually pursue it more, I would have to say that Austin is a very big influence. He won't let you quit. He'll keep pushing and pushing and pushing until, you know, you're like, all right, fine, let's go. Let's do it. Yeah. And it just makes you 10 times better. The energy that he brings is just phenomenal, and you can't help but just be inspired by it.
I just think about when I was much younger, and even now, I'm like, could I even get myself to do that? You know, put myself out there. And I admire that so greatly. And the thing is that I realize that it's also, it's not always just because of self-confidence. It's because you are so driven by your own passion to do this that it kind of circumvents those inhibitions or whatever. I really admire that, and I'm glad to see that there's more up and coming people in the Champaign-Urbana music scene that we can look forward to seeing once this pandemic is behind us. I didn't even ask you, but like, how long have you been doing Clinically Ill?
Clinically Ill for probably a year now, but I officially started it like 6 years ago. We're hoping that everything's good by this summer because we're supposed to be doing a festival for the radio station that we were on. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that everything goes good and we're still allowed to do it because of COVID.
Has Clinically Ill actually performed live? Have you actually been out and performed yet?
I think one time, but it was for like open mic night. And we performed Contract, which now, after Not for the Faint of Heart, we claimed it as a Clinically Ill song now. Since Clinically Ill started getting bigger, now, obviously, you know, COVID-19 and all that, you can't really go out and do much. We try to do things here and there, like on Facebook Live or Instagram Live. Try to like give like a little bit of a performance or talk to people.
Cool.
Still show them that we care.
Are there any projects coming up? I mean, is there some other projects in the works?
I have another one called Leatherface coming out, which is, you know, obviously about Texas Chainsaw. We're going to try this. Each song is going to be a different horror movie. We're going to try that out. So right now, we just recorded Leatherface. The next one, I think we're calling it like the 13th or something like that. So then we'll have a Jason one, and we'll have a Michael one, Freddy, you name it, Chucky, all of them.
Do you have a favorite horror film or a horror franchise, maybe we could even say?
Actually, Austin kind of gets irritated about it. Not irritated, but in a funny way. Because if you listen to a lot of our beats, it's all like Pennywise-based beats. You'll hear Pennywise in a lot of our beats, and he's like, dude, we've done like 5 Pennywise beats. Come on, let's switch it up. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I just really like it. But yes, we'll switch it up. And then that's when we, you know, got into Leatherface, and I was like, that's cool. Like, I looked up Leatherface type beats, which I didn't know there was such a thing. But I looked it up, and sure enough, there's chainsaws in the beats, there's guitars. It was badass, honestly. And I was like, Austin, here's your beat. Let's do it.
Nice.
Leatherface, I think, is going to be separate from this other album. Because Leatherface, we're basically going to make an album of just straight horror movie raps. Because that's basically what we want to be, is horror rap.
Yeah.
We don't want to be like metal rap or rock rap. We don't like that either. We have a specific genre. We like to be horror rap, and talk about horror things. So, but yeah, that's the future, is to finally make that album that we've been waiting for.
That's funny. I did not actually realize that was a genre, was to have horror rap, but it makes so much, like, after, you know, in the context of that, reading your lyrics, I'm like, yeah, well, okay, yeah, that's at least like 20% of most horror movies are about serial killers or some murdery kind of thing. But that's good to know. It in that context, it's like perfect.
If you listen to Murder, I have a line in there where I say, my life is Pennywise and I see the Deadlights.
Even in the midst of the current coronavirus pandemic, the Jubilee Cafe is continuing to serve packaged, home-cooked meals free to all every Monday evening, 5 to 6:30 p.m. Meals are available for pickup outside the 6th Street door to the Community United Church of Christ in Champaign, Illinois, 805 South 6th Street. Jubilee Cafe's mission remains the same. Feed hungry people by cooking healthy and delicious meals. We are open to anyone who cares to receive a meal. For information on the meal or how to volunteer, go to the Jubilee Cafe CUCC Facebook page or email us at jubilee.cafe@community-ucc.org. Welcome back, Taran. What is your favorite non-musical thing or things?
Well, obviously, watching horror movies with Austin. Playing pool with friends, bonfires. I love cooking.
So what's your favorite thing to cook?
Well, my favorite thing to cook is burgers. And I actually just won this little burger contest that me and Austin had.
What makes your burgers special? Or is it just cooking technique?
I don't know. Like, I guess like how juicy it is. You know, a lot of people like a really juicy cheeseburger. And I don't know how, honestly, I don't know how I do it. I just throw some meat on a grill and I look at the patty and I'm like, looks good. And turns out it's good.
What is your favorite horror film, or like, is there like a franchise? I think you said Pennywise, we're talking It, but is that actually your favorite, or? That's
actually one of my favorites. I've loved Pennywise or It since the original, when Bill Skarsgård took over. A lot of people hate me for it, but my personal opinion is I love Bill Skarsgård better. I think he did it better. And my mom found it somehow, but I actually have one of the scripts from the chapter 2, and it has Bill Skarsgård signature. It has all the kids on there.
This may be bad, but do you remember what your first horror movie was that you saw?
Yeah. Everyone makes fun of me for it too. So my first horror film was Children of the Corn, and now I'm like forever terrified of cornfields. Even though I live in Illinois, I can't. Like, my friends have done it. My stepdad has done it. They'll drive through a cornfield and then stop and shut the car off just to torment me. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm so terrified of them. Being this horror rap person, but I'm terrified of cornfields now.
Gotcha.
That's just one of my biggest things ever since watching Children of the Corn for my first horror film. I'm
not going to say that Children of the Corn created this, but I totally get what you're talking about. But, where I live, I'm completely surrounded by either corn or beans. So, and we have dogs. So, there have been a few times when the dogs have gone running off into the cornfields, and they're not coming back. So I go running into them. And the thing is that I do know that horror when you get to what feels like the middle of the field and you're like, oh shit. Like literally I could be murdered and no one would know, because you're completely by yourself. And especially if it's a quiet night, like very, very little wind, like just a little bit of wind. And especially if it started to dry, the leaves make that weird sound. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I get you. I totally get you.
It's like an intro to the horror movie.
Yes. There was one other thing you said. Shit.
Pool.
Yeah. So, 8 ball or 9 ball?
8 ball.
8 ball. All right. Where's your favorite place to play?
Right up here at the pool hall. The owner, his name is Chubby.
Oh yeah.
Call him Chubby. Yeah, he's right here in Muhammad on Main Street.
Taran, thank you so much for being on the show and telling me about your song Attention and forming Clinically Ill and your collaboration with your brother Austin. And just, I really appreciate talking to up-and-coming artists that are, just getting started. I just really appreciate you taking the time to, Zoom with me and chat. And hopefully we'll see each other in person at some point, somewhere along the lines. And I look forward to getting back to live music again. But thank you.
Too.
Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Champagne is Also a Band podcast. This is Taran reminding you great music is out there. Go find it where you live.
You almost have an NPR voice. It's so good.
Studio South Peter on the inside.